Hey YouTube, Kiraqualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard deck collection for 2019. I wanted to do this video for quite some time now. I think it's actually been over a year since the last deck collection, so I'm well due for an update, especially since standard format became a thing. I have a bunch of new decks collected up, along with all of the previous decks from premium format as well. I've gone through a lot of decks. I don't think I've actually gotten rid of any decks I've built for standard format ever since it started with Unite Q4. But I've gone and traded away a lot of the premium format just since I had so much stocked up. I still have a lot of premium format stocked up from when it came out, but I figured I'd go through all the decks I still have, show where the deck originated from, why I decided to still keep it if I've had it for a very long time, and just go from there like I usually do with all of my deck collection videos. So let's go ahead and get started. I think we're going to go in order. We'll start with the standard deck profiles first for those who want to see those more than the premium decks, and then the premium decks will be the second part of the video. And bear in mind, I went to the doctor and got my eyes dilated, so I'm going to do my best to stay in focus and keep my eye on the camera to make sure it looks as good as possible. I really wanted to do this video, probably pick the worst day to do it, but for the first deck we have my standard Kagero deck. This one actually was the first one I built from Unite Q4, which was the first booster pack and also the first trial deck for Kai Toshiki that we received. I haven't really changed it much. I did my best to try out Nouvelle. I didn't really enjoy it as much, but I know we're getting new support for Kagero in the upcoming booster set, I think, along with Link Joker, Royal Paladin, and Nova Grappler as well. So very, very excited for that. I think that pack comes out in June. We're getting new Dragonic Overlord support. Whether they're going to do the Great, they probably won't do it as a like a Legion like they did in the manga. They may do it as a new Grade 3 with Neoflame as just an added Grade 2 in the set, which I think would be awesome because those are two of my favorite units from Legion and just Kagero overall. I'm a big fan of Waterfall. I've almost completed the Secret Vanguard set for this deck, but sadly we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll keep two decks since I do have a good amount of support, since I also got a good amount of packs from the Cyqualia Strife booster set as well. But another deck, I usually tried to keep it so I make two decks, one deck from each booster pack, but with Q4 I decided to build two since it was the first release of standard format. We didn't have too many decks to play with in my group of friends as well, so I figured if I made two decks, we at least have two to go back and forth with each other, along with everyone else who was making Oracle Think Tank and Royal Paladin in our group of friends. So I decided to do Nova Grappler. The deck just looked really, really fun. I was always a fan of Risers to begin with. The fact that they remade Perfect Riser, High Power Riser Custom, and Riser Custom was one of the most excited things I think I was about. I think I was more excited for Nova Grappler's reprints than Kagero's reprints. I was excited for Kagero overall, but just seeing revamped versions of what I like to call Kamui's Ride Chain really did it for me in this deck, and my main motivation to build the #1 deck for Nova Grappler. There were a bunch of different other variants, I think like Battle Deity or like the lower tier with Cat Butler, but I wanted to go for Risers for sure with those cards. Now for the other decks, moving right along, I had two, which I've kept in these double deck boxes together. These ones are actually used by my friends the most when playing for fun, when they want to borrow a deck. Mega Colony came out in the Destructive Roar, once again, and a pattern that would follow suit is a good number of my decks that I played. I'd at least always try and get at least one Secret Vanguard rare to use, but Mega Colony, this is the one out of the three decks from Destructive Roar that I really wanted to build. A friend of mine was building Tachi Kage, and my girlfriend was building Spike Brothers, so this was basically the last deck given to me, and I thought Mega Colony was a lot of fun for sure. It didn't have really the paralyze mechanic like old Mega Colony did, but it still had the numbers boost and attack lowering power that Machining's kind of carried on in the trend. Moving on though, from Champions of the Asia Circuit, I really did want to build Dimension Police, Dayusha, and the fact that we got Great Dayusha as a superior ride card just added on to my motivation to build this. We had all, if not all, a good amount of the Dimensional Robos along with Dayusha, so it was basically Dimensional Robos for standard format. I still really do want to build a premium form of this deck, I think it'd be a lot of fun as well, just to see what can be done with the deck for premium format, with all the different strides we have, 4 dimensional robos, along with the 2 grade 3s that you can just use for your lineup right then and there, since they're both dimensional robos to begin with. And then after Champions of the Asia Circuit, we also were introduced to Strongest Team, AL4. I had to go for Shadow Paladins this time around for that set. Another main, 4 main booster pack. I only stuck to 1 clan this time around, though. More of my friends were getting involved with standard format. They mostly played off the fact I'll play the game. I'll play standard format when my deck comes out. So we had Murakumo, and we also had Pale Moon and Dark Irregulars, which were much more popular decks in my group of friends. I think just overall based on the type of clan they were and play style, you name it. So I stuck with Shadow Paladins. I was always a fan. Since the Eclipse of Illusionary Shadow booster pack, I wanted to build Shadows, Phantom Blaster Dragon. I don't think I ever got a full playset of the old Phantom Blaster Dragon. I think I only had like 2 to 3 maybe, never the 4, and I really wanted the SP version of the anime art. But I still think that this art and the fact that they gave us a lost, like a 999 original art Phantom Blaster Dragon as like a chaser kind of card to pull was definitely an awesome choice on their part. Plus just the fact that all the old units as well, including Blaster Blade remade for throwback Shadow Paladins, were definitely fun for sure. And like all the decks, I try to get at least a good mix and mash of all the different gift markers, whether they be from the trial decks or the set themselves that you can get as the box toppers. Got a couple more decks for standard format to go through, and a lot more decks for premium format as well, which we'll quickly go through the premiums since there's a lot of them. I don't want it to be too long of a video, but still moving on with the standard decks. Neo Nectar from the it's like my eyesight is affecting my mind. The booster set with Corrin, Rekka, and Suiko, it's going to come to me. Ultra Miracle Collection, there we go. I decided to build Neo Nectar. I wasn't really that big a fan of Angel Feathers. I have a good amount of the Gold Paladins, which, if I come into some more Ravenhair Ezreals, I might put that together, just because that deck seems very powerful for an Excel deck as well. But I was always a fan of Neo Nectar. I'm much more excited when I found out we were getting Musketeer support, along with some of the other generic support, and the fact that we had these adorable tokens being the new kind of playstyle for Neo Nectar. Definitely interested me for sure. Just, basically when they introduced Lock for Link Choker, a whole new play mechanic. It's what I thought with Neo Nectar, a whole new play mechanic incorporating tokens into Cardfight Vanguard. And then for the Answer of Truth booster pack, which you'll see later on in the video, big fan of Gear Chronicle as well. So when they made sort of like a makeshift stride deck with the new grade 3 unit Lost Legend, I couldn't pass it up. The deck just, with no new, throwback to old units, I thought that was very interesting how they made new units for the entire clan. So stuff that definitely looked like old units, but nothing really played off. I think Mystery Flare Dragon was the only unit that was from the old series, but I like to think, strides come from different realities and all that. So maybe this standard format was the original area that Mystery Flare was from. So pulled out and strode from this universe with all these other different units. Just a theory of mine, which I think would be very cool. And I do hope they incorporate Gear Chronicle a little more in the upcoming series. If we get another season after the Kiraqualia zombies with Cardfight Vanguard, maybe we'll see where they go from there with the anime, obviously, and all the other different clans getting more and more support throughout the year. And then my last standard, I was about to say premium, deck is Magus. I decided to build this as the deck from the Miyagi Academy CF Club booster pack, our first 5 clan set. This one just, I really loved Magus, which you'll see I have a premium Magus deck later in the video as well, with the old units all remade to be used in the deck, along with alternate arts for all the different ones. The deck is really, really strong too. I've been playing it. It's one of the newest decks for standard format for me, so definitely been enjoying just testing it out. The quintet drive that Pentagon of Mages can successfully do is one of the main reasons I definitely wanted to look into the deck, and it was easy just to get the trial decks obviously and put it together along with all the pulls you saw from my box openings. But those are all of the standard format decks that I have. The rest of them, which we'll be going through now, are premium format. So I'm just going to grab one of the decks and quickly go through it. You can see from the deck box that this is the theme that I was going for. If you can tell the color scheme with the red, orange, and the blue, it is Gear Chronicle with Chronojet and all his many forms. Now, some of the premium decks may be a little out of order. Just I've either been testing out the decks and just didn't shuffle it back. But the main part of the deck was Chronojet with G and Z as his two that I used with all the different Zodiac Time Beasts in the deck as well. Up to date from the latest booster set, I even had an SP form of Chronojet Dragon Z pulled from the case I went half in on for the set, so it was a big part. We were able to complete a good amount of the deck. I think the one thing I'm missing for it, Dust is actually in my collection binder, so I don't have that for the Stride Zone, but if I ever need it, I always throw it in to use, obviously. And then also, just going through a couple others. I can't remember if this is a deck. Yep, this one is, which, like I said, I don't want to go too deep in all the premium decks, but Risers for Legion. I've tried my best just to, update it with, the new support for premium format, just with the new standard cards as well. Still missing a few cards for the deck. I think I got most of the high powers and the riser customs along with the new starter to use that combo, but other than that, still need a few other more cards to use in the deck. With the new revival collection coming out, I'll definitely be adding some more of the strides into the deck from that for sure. Victor definitely can help out the deck in many ways, so I'll definitely be excited for that. For the next deck of one of many Bermuda Triangle decks, I think this one's actually pretty organized. We have Tiara, we have new support coming out for Bermuda Triangle, so definitely excited to see just what can be used. I think this deck is a little generic. It's got some of the other playstyle of Stride, obviously, but Tiara, compared to like the Harmony decks, was still pretty generic Stride-wise with all of her many new cards we received from the latest booster pack for Bermuda Triangle. Let's see, what else do we have here in the no, this isn't Transcore. It's been so long since I've seen some of the break rides. This is Dragonic Descendant with the Descendant Stride. And what I was able to build up of the Stride Zone, we've got Dragonic Sigma, along with the reprinted version of Descendant for the deck, and all the new support we received, as well as perfect guards from G format. Definitely, we just got Narukami, so if there's any Narukami I can add in to make the deck better, I'll definitely have to see if I should pick up a trial deck just to, pump up the deck. I think it's the only Narukami deck I currently have. I believe I sold... what was it? I did have Vanquisher for a little while, but I think I did actually sell it down the line. Here's another Royal Paladin deck. I think, actually, did I say another? I don't even think I have a Royal Paladin deck, but Blaster with all of the support, including the Luz and Alfred, just to back it up. I really need to organize this deck because I think a lot of people have asked me if I do have a Royal Paladin deck, if I'd be willing to part with it. I wish I played it more. I'm not the biggest fan of Royal Paladin. It was actually given to me in a trade for a couple other premium decks, so couldn't pass it up. The deck is really, really cool, though, so glad that I still have it. I'm looking through all of these, decks just nostalgia-wise, and so many memories are flooding in just where I got the decks from friends, whatnot, you name it. Whether I just build the decks on my own, which, for example, Aqua Force here, this is Tetra. I built this one on my own. I kept Anger Boil and Tetra Drive Dragon in. I think the cover art of that deck box was Transcore Dragon, if I do think about it now. But this one I really, really like. Just the restanding Stride and just the with Tetra Boil and mixed in with Anger Boil and then Restanding Limit Break. Tetra Drive, one of my favorite Aqua Force decks, hands down for sure, just with all the different support we received in the different booster sets for it. What else do we have? We have the Zashiki Hirume. Do we have Nubatama to match the deck box? Yes. This was actually, I traded Shiranui to a friend a little while back. This is my Shiranui break ride. When the deck first came out, we had Shiranui and then Kujikiri Kongo is what I like to combo it with. Just break ride. I would like to call it, you know, old Kazumi style deck with all the different Stealth Beast support in it. So very happy that I kept at least one Nubatama deck. I know we got the new support, but it's kind of mixed in with the Magatsu support. It's not really, you know, the Nubatama clan that I remember it. There are some cards like Kujikiri and Kabuki still in it. So if I can, you know, incorporate them in some way into the deck, I'll definitely do my best to. But another one of my favorite Gear Chronicle decks, Demiurge. This one, is it mixed up? Yep, if it's mixed up, then I've more than likely played it recently. But we had so much new support for this deck as well, including Pulsar Drastic Colossus, which just made the deck so much more playable with your main card, Demiurge, of course, than all the different Zodiac Time Beasts I had to run just to get the consistent 12 in the bind zone to use, which with the new you know, Gear Chronicle, they're not Zodiac Time Beasts, but there's got to be a way you can incorporate it with some of the grade 4s just to make the deck play for the bind. But if not, I think I'll just keep the deck separate to use. Now, this one's one of my most foiled decks. It is Dragonic Overlord with premium format. I think I have a couple. If not, I switched them out for some other decks. Yeah, it's looking like I still have the old heal triggers and critical triggers and all that in this deck still, but I've mixed around a bunch of the strides as well. I think I have 2 Zygenberg in this deck, and then some of them are in my Blademaster deck, but a good amount of foils with just the, you know, the stride fodder as well, being the signed versions. Kagura was one of my main clans, so if I ever went full foil out, I, you know, went all out, even with the deck box, markers inside, counters, you name it. I would pick up as much as I could from regionals just to have the deck completely tricked out, and it's the latest deck support with all the different Dragonic Overlords on the cover that I fully show off with the deck box. And then also for some of the other Bermuda Triangle that I probably should have kept together. I think this one's actually Harmony. Yep, with Loras, the different types of Loras in the deck. I didn't get too many of the cards. I think, do I have all 4 Alks? Okay, so yeah, I did get at least the playset of Alk from the newest Bermuda set before the one that's coming out, obviously, this year. Some of the SPs that I kept as well in the deck. I was always a fan of Loras, if not one of my favorite Bermuda Triangle decks. Was definitely up there. I think the favorite spot goes to, which if I can find it, which I might be able to find. Let's see if we can look through a couple. Okay, this one's definitely up there. Not my favorite, but I do like Reet. I was always a fan of the restand style and just the 2 pairs that you would do with the deck as well. But we'll get to my actual favorite Bermuda Triangle deck as soon as I open up a few more boxes. Like I said, we got a lot of decks to cover for the collection, but this one I know I didn't have finished prior to my previous deck collection video. This one seems pretty organized. I think just maybe a couple cards here and there strewn out. Battle Sisters. Now, I think we do have a good number of Battle Sister, if not a good number, maybe a few in standard format that can be added to the deck, but I still have a good number of the new cards, Florentine, and the strides being stolen for, not actually stolen, but that is the name of the card for the deck. Battle Sisters really did take off, I'd say, at one point after for Oracle Think Tank. So kind of sucks that it was at the end of G format and there weren't too many cards left for the deck, sadly. But other Oracle Think Tanks that I have, along with the Magus that you saw before, Susanoo. I think, yeah, I've got the newest stuff from not Team Tri3. It is, I'm so bad at remembering team names. If you guys can remember the team, that was Team Tri-3's, I don't want to say main rivals, but it's probably going to hit me too. Once, you know, Oracle Think Tank, Dimension Police, Great Nature, all three of those clans. Oh, Trinity Dragon. There, I had to think for a second, and what actually made me think of them was their battle pose that they did. That completely reminded me of who they were. Do I have 2 Loras Dex? I think I do. I'm literally going completely insane now. But yeah, I have 2 Loras Dex. This one is completely organized from what you saw before, and in different color sleeves also. So about the same number of strides. Definitely the same, you know, lineup, aside from a couple different SPs here and there. It's the same deck, no doubt about that. But we still got a few more decks to go through. Tachi Kage's. This one is G format. Yep, I wasn't a real fan of Equip Gauge. I was a big fan of, you know, Guy Emperor with all of his Engorge cards, just being able to restand with Gluttony Dogma, able to have power plays with your quadruple drive. Insane for sure. That is where I think Tachi Kage reached their pinnacle. They were on top, strong deck, you know, all the works for sure with that. I'm all over the place because here is Blademaster. You can see the last 2 Zygenberg are in this deck box. I was short 1 SP, which really I was upset about, but I had a good number of SP packs pulled for this, which kind of makes me think I went really all out in this game before. Look, perfect SP, Dumb Judes for the deck, you name it, a good amount here and there. If I had to mix around triggers, I would do that, but usually I like to keep as many as I could, just for that one specific deck, and not have to swap around if I didn't have to. This one, I know my girlfriend really does want. It's unorganized, but it is Big Belly with the newest support for Big Belly, of course, as well, with Crayon Tiger and Artistic Ocelot, you name it. Duckbill, new art, very, very, fun deck with Fernigus and all the different. Great Nature had so many strides now that I think about it, just to work with the deck, you name it, a Fonk, Hrinthers, just the work. You could really customize your Great Nature deck depending how you wanted to for it. Curious to see if Premium, since there's not really any specific sub-clans for, maybe aside from Hamsuke, obviously, but we don't have a Hamsuke stride. If you wanted to build one, obviously, for it later on. And another Dimension Police deck. This one is Grand Gallop with the different Grand Gallop forms. I even have an SP from the Fighters collection. And do I only have 3? Yeah, only 3 of the... I don't think this is the latest Grand Gallop. I might be mistaken. There might be one more new one. And then just all the other support. I don't think I went too into the Stargate booster pack for Grand Gallop. I just wasn't as interested in the deck, and I still have the deck to this day. If, you know, I get rid of any of the decks, I think this one might be one of the ones in line for me to get rid of. Same with, you know, the bottom of the list, just decks that I either got from friends for trade or they needed the money. Maelstrom being another one of those as well. I think it's got, yeah, full foil Tidal Assaults in it. So, but once again, this one, along with the Grand Gallop, were given to me by friends who were in need of money, just wanted other cards, you name it. Traded me or sold me these decks so they could make ends meet. We're really at the bottom now. Okay, cool. Another Mega Colony, because I am also, I think my eyes are actually starting to settle now. Like, after so much focusing on different decks, and I'm kind of wandering. But we have Darkface, and did I get, oh, yep, Gridora. Completely forgot she was a card, and she was one of my favorite of the villains in the last season of G. So sad that I forgot her, but I think I had all of the Gridora, if not missing a couple. Either way, like I said, I definitely want to look at this deck again. Once Fighter Collection comes out and we get the reprint of the Generation Rare that I desperately needed for the deck to make it the most playable version, I'll definitely have to invest in it for premium format. Bluddermouse with Gilda Reis for the Charleroi deck. I did update this to the newest form. So actually, did I? I can't recall. There's probably 3 versions of Charleroi, and I am not fully up to date. I gotta see. If anything, it went all to my friend Anthony, who was a bigger fan of Dark Irregulars than me at the time. So they most likely went to him for his decks. And in the Blade Wing Ragey, we have Machinings. Now this one's actually shuffled up. I was testing it out for premium format with all the new machining support, so I shuffled them all out, took out the Stag Beetles from this deck, which were placeholders for the new ones from standard format. I really did like how the deck played and had some conflicting methods, but with the paralyzing and the power boosts, it still worked pretty well together. For the last big deck boxes, I have a couple decks in here to go through, so let's quickly go through them. Reindeer, like I said, I have so many Bermuda decks, but Reindeer was kind of a more generic one I put together with like standard perfect guards. I do have the newest grade 3 though, so I at least wanted to finish the decks that I had for Bermuda with all the new support from those clans. Now this one, we can't go through the video and not talk about my favorite Bermuda Triangle deck, which are Prisms. I had them since the first booster pack that supported them, and you know the support for them has gone all the way since the latest booster pack with Garnet. I have some versions of the SPs mixed in with this deck as well. I need to get a few more SPs for the deck. I would really like to just overall for the deck get some just to support it more hollow-wise, since it is my favorite Bermuda Triangle deck. So hopefully later down the road, when I can come into some more Bermuda Triangle cards, I'll definitely invest in them. But let's see what else we've got in the deck box. Just a quick glance here. We've got Magus. Now this is all old support, which I need to, if I'm going to do a premium deck, mix it in with all the new versions of Hexagonal, and maybe not Briolette, but Stellar Magus. Sorry about that. Magus. Other than that, I think it'll make for a fun premium deck, which I also have to make Witches too. I know a lot of you have been requesting that deck profile. And lastly, from that deck box, one of my favorite Shadow Paladin decks, Revengers with Raging Form Dragon. I do have Phantom Blaster Abyss. I just need to put that deck together. It's in my binder, which can be easily switched around with all the cards from this deck to build that version, since it does use a good number of the cards in this deck for Phantom Blaster Abyss as well. And actually, one more deck box. It's a long video. I think this might be my longest deck collection video of all. I've got a lot more decks since the last ones. Along with Risers, I did try to once get rid of Bestiities. Not that I didn't want the deck, but you know, I'd always love just if the deck can go to someone else who can use it more than me. I would always, you know, trade it or sell it, just so it can have a home where it's used more, obviously. This and Legion Risers, I felt that way. But sadly, the deal didn't follow through, and I still have them. Gurgwit. Now, this is actually, I would say, one of my favorite Gold Paladin decks. It was given to me as a gift, and definitely one I played the most. I just love the play style of the deck. It had so many different Unite plays, power plays, call plays, you name it. Definitely what a Gold Paladin deck is meant to be, and perfectly at home in the Galliard deck box. And lastly, this is the final box. No more messing around. And it is Riviere. I was going to say Shizuku for a second, but sadly I never put the Shizuku deck together. But Riviere with her Ride Chain and her backup support, which I do believe is in here. Yep. Spirited Star, Twa, is really, really helpful. I don't think it was the Legion anymore. Nope. I had the Riviere with Twa in the deck with the strides that she had. I would say is the most fun version of the deck for sure. But it was definitely a long video, but a fun one at that, and I hope you all enjoyed. For those of you who watched through the whole thing, thanks for that. And also, as always, don't forget to comment down below what your favorite Vanguard decks are. If you have any, or if you have one you've had since the beginning, definitely comment down below what they are, what they mean to you, why you've kept them for this long. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kiraqualia out.